it's Chloe from the Badass Boss Babe podcast and Nugget. So if you hear some scurrying or the tinkling of her collar, that is what you're hearing, because if I lock her out of the room, she gets super pissed off. So this is Nug, everyone. But hi, I just wanted to do a quick video on why I chose, or even really why I decided on a theme for season 2 and why I chose the theme of mind, body, soul development for the theme of season 2. So if you've been listening along and you listened to season 1, you know that at the end of 2018, I was in the hospital for 5 days. I had 30 seizures in 5 days. And at the end of it all, turns out that there's nothing wrong with my brain, which is great. But I have complex PTSD and also an autoimmune disease and severe anxiety. But those things attributed to my having PNES, which is non-epileptic seizures, and they are triggered by complex PTSD. So, 1, didn't even know that you could have seizures for things like that, and 2, I was completely ashamed of myself after my diagnosis to know that I had let my mental health and my well-being get so bad and out of control that I could have a diagnosis like that and start having seizures. Made me feel ashamed of myself, made me feel like I had a complete lack of control over my life, which I hate because I'm a control freak, and anyone that knows me will tell you that, and brought up just a lot of negative emotions about myself, kind of hurt my self-esteem a little bit, different things like that. I mean, you like to think that you're a strong person and you can persevere through anything, and had a really bad year in 2018, and it just all kind of added up into having this basically mental breakdown at 24. So going into 2019, I was really focused on getting healthier again. I'd lost like 20 plus pounds, was having migraines every day, mental health was shot, all these things. Really wanted to focus on just getting better. So interestingly enough, in February of 2019, because it's 2020, but in February of 2019, I ran into a woman who I'd been circling for years, and you will meet Desiree in episode 1 of season 2. But she was integral to this past year, so I have to tell this story. Anywho, we'd been circling each other for years. We have a really good mutual friend, and he kept saying to her, you really need to meet Chloe, and he kept saying to me, you really need to meet Desiree. Shout out to Lauren. And we had just been circling each other for years and had never met. And in February, she came to an event that my nonprofit had, Girl Power Hour San Antonio, and we finally got to meet, and our energy instantly clicked. It just felt really right. We ended up going to lunch just to learn more about each other. And the more she told me about her coaching services, the more I figured that's something that I need in my life right now. I need to deal with all this unresolved childhood trauma and just trauma that I'd accumulated as an adult to be able to live my life in a more healthy way. Also, one of my goals was to be on less medication, because you don't end up with complex PTSD and an autoimmune disease like I have without some type of suppressed trauma. So I figured if I could work through the trauma, then I could work through a lot of my symptoms, and it worked. So I am on less medication now for my anxiety, fibromyalgia management, migraines, things like that. So started this journey with Desiree and really worked through a lot of my shit. I think the reparenting part of the process was the most significant thing that I've done in my healing journey, because I didn't have great parents, and my parents also didn't have the best relationships with their parents. So just healing that generational trauma brought up a lot of weird stuff that's happened in my family that's caused us in general to have certain unhealthy tendencies and ways of dealing with things. And I wanted to be the person that broke that cycle of how we dealt with things in an unhealthy manner. And I did that. So this past year has been really interesting and painful and ugly. Cried a lot, learned a lot of life lessons, had a lot of people enter my life to just teach me a lesson and then leave when that lesson was done being taught. And I'm not the kind of person that deals with change easily, and I'm very relationship oriented. So when I lose relationships, it's very hard for me. But I will say that 2019 was the most healing year of my life. I am a completely different person. I'm a much freer person. I have the tools to handle my anxiety where I didn't before, and I have a lot more boundaries, which was not hard. Like, it was not easy. It's definitely hard. Anywho, I've been doing all this self-development work this past year, and it just kind of ended up translating into being the focus of the podcast, because I want to share with you guys how I did that healing. And it's obviously something I want to continue to do, so I wanted to dive into it even more. So basically, all the themes that showed up in the past year in my life are what you're going to see in the podcast this season. Everything from mind, body, soul development. We're talking about things that aren't easy to talk about, which you guys know me. That's just how I am. That's how I roll. But I think you guys are really going to love this season and what to expect from this season. It's going to be a lot longer than season 1 was. Don't know why I did that to myself, but I did. But I love doing the podcast and doing what I do, so I'm super excited. You can expect a really diverse group of women. So I've been interviewing women from all over the country. The racial demographic is super diverse, which I'm super proud of because I love diversity and inclusion, and it's something I'm super passionate about. And you can also expect shorter episodes because I wanted to make sure for you guys that it was easier to digest and maybe something that you can listen on your commute versus having to break it up into pieces to listen to the episodes. I love to talk, so that's why the episodes are longer before. But they're going to be shorter now, so it's easier for you guys to digest. But launch party is on Monday at the Annex Co-working, and again, it'll be with Desiree Cruz, and we're going to be talking all about why I got a life coach, what the hell is a life coach even, and we're going to dive a little bit deeper into those subjects. And then afterwards, we're going to have a little party, and the episode is live, so it's in front of an audience. Never done that before. Super nervous to just go off the cuff, but I'm trying to be more like this and unfiltered. And then you guys, everyone will get to hear it on Tuesday on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, and I'm adding iHeart, so that'll be there for you guys as well. But if you got to the end of this video, thank you for listening, and that's the reasoning behind the theme for season 2, and that's what you can expect from season 2. Have a good day and stay badass.